In the early morning hours of August 23, 1987, two teenage boys were found dead on railroad tracks in a small Arkansas town. Authorities ruled it an accident. They said the boys had fallen asleep on the tracks, but their families said that was impossible, because what investigators would eventually uncover would suggest something far darker. This is the story of Kevin Ives and Don Henry, known as the Boys on the Tracks, and the mystery that still remains unsolved nearly 4 decades later. Kevin Ives was 17 years old. Don Henry was 16. They were best friends. They lived in Alexander, a small town outside Little Rock. By all accounts, they were typical teenagers. They fished, they hung out, they explored the woods near their homes. On August 22, 1987, the boys told their parents they were going out to spotlight deer, a common activity in rural areas at the time. They never came home. Around 4 a.m. on August 23rd, a freight train crew spotted something on the tracks. 2 bodies. The train couldn't stop in time. Kevin and Don had been run over. The initial explanation? Authorities claimed the boys had smoked marijuana, passed out on the tracks, and were struck by the train while unconscious. The case was quickly ruled an accident. But almost immediately, things didn't sit right. The train engineer reported seeing the boys covered in a green tarp before impact. That detail alone raised questions. Why would 2 teens sleeping on tracks be covered with something? And why were there inconsistencies in the physical evidence? The original medical examiner ruled the deaths accidental. The official explanation? Marijuana intoxication led them to fall asleep on the tracks. But Kevin's mother, Linda Ives, refused to accept that. She pushed for a second autopsy, and what it revealed changed everything. The second autopsy reportedly found evidence Kevin may have been struck in the skull prior to being placed on the tracks. A possible stab wound in Don's shirt. Injuries inconsistent with simply being run over while asleep. A grand jury later ruled the deaths a probable homicide. Eventually, the case was reclassified as a definite homicide. But here's the part that still stuns people. No one was ever charged. As the investigation deepened, rumors began spreading through Saline County. One persistent theory claimed the boys may have witnessed illegal activity in the woods that night, possibly related to drug drops. Some alleged that small aircraft were dropping contraband in remote areas. Others suggested local corruption. These allegations were explored in depth in the book The Boys on the Tracks by journalist Mara Leverett. The book raised questions about conflicting forensic findings, witness intimidation, mysterious deaths of individuals connected to the broader investigation. However, it's important to be clear. While these claims fueled public suspicion, none have resulted in criminal convictions related to Kevin and Don's deaths. Over the years, the case has also been pulled into broader conspiracy theories, some tying it to political figures. But no court has ever substantiated those claims. Separating fact from speculation is one of the biggest challenges in this case. Linda Ives never stopped fighting for answers. She filed Freedom of Information requests, seeking investigative files she believed were being withheld. In 2017, some documents were released after legal battles, but the lawsuit was later dismissed. Linda continued speaking publicly about the case for decades. She passed away in 2021, still without knowing who killed her son. For many, that remains one of the most heartbreaking parts of this story. A mother searching for justice until her final days. Nearly 40 years later, the murders of Kevin Ives and Don Henry remain unsolved. No arrests, no convictions, just questions. This case highlights the power of family advocacy, the impact of forensic reevaluation, and how early investigative decisions can shape a case forever. It also reminds us how small-town tragedies can ripple into national attention. The story continues to circulate in podcasts, documentaries, and online forums because people feel something wasn't right. And maybe something still isn't. Two teenagers left home one night in 1987. They were found hours later on railroad tracks. Authorities first said it was an accident, then ruled it homicide. But justice never followed. So what really happened in those Arkansas woods? Were Kevin and Don simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or did they see something they weren't meant to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But as always, keep it respectful. Because at the center of this story are two real young men and families who are still waiting for answers. If you want more deep dives into unsolved Southern true crime cases, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. True Crimes of the Dirty South.